Hello there. So in this lecture we will study about discrete Fourier transform, or commonly known as DFT. Okay, so how Fourier transform for a discrete signal comes into picture. So we have a continuous time signal, we do its sampling, okay. At this point of time we have discrete time signal. After that we do Fourier transform. So Fourier transform, as we already studied, that Fourier transform we do to analyze our signal in frequency domain. Okay, so this Fourier transform, this can be either DTFT or another type is DFT. Okay, this is discrete time Fourier transform, this is discrete Fourier transform. This is the difference in their names. Another difference is this is continuous signal, continuous in frequency domain, while DFT is discrete in frequency domain, obviously, because these are the Fourier transforms, so these signals are in frequency domain. Okay, then the question comes, why we need DFT when we already have DTFT? Then the answer is because we have already studied, or we have already touched upon this concept, that because a computer or a processor needs discrete signal to process, therefore DTFT cannot be used in that way. So but DTFT is handy for our analysis. So that's why when we are talking of implementation in computer, or let's say a processor can be a DSP chip also, we always talk of DFT. Okay. So there are various efficient algorithms that exist for implementing DFT also. You might have heard of FFT. Okay, so FFT logically or conceptually it is same as DFT, except the difference that this is a very efficient algorithm to implement DFT. Okay, fine. So now let's try to understand one concept. So let's assume that we have we are doing sampling in time domain. Okay, so on a higher level, let's say that we are doing sampling in time domain. So what all consequences will be there in frequency domain? So this implies that there will be periodicity in frequency domain. Okay, and actually this concept can be extended to extended in other way also. So vice versa, if we are doing in sampling in frequency domain, so the consequences of this is that there will be periodicity. By periodicity we can say repetitions also, periodicity or repetitions in time domain. Got it? Let's take an example. While we were talking of DTFT, how we did it? We had a continuous time signal, we do the sampling, here we got the discrete time signal, and we do the DTFT. Okay, and we got our, let's say this is my signal X and this is my signal Y. Okay, this will be a time domain signal. So xt, this is a frequency domain signal. So omega. Okay, so or basically it is xn. Okay, fine, and this is my xt. Okay, so here we are doing sampling in time domain. Okay, and we have studied when we were studying DTFT that its spectrum actually repeats. So this is a periodic signal. Okay, so actually this is a proof of this statement that we are doing sampling in time domain here, which is causing repetitions in frequency domain. Okay, make sense? Okay, now let's do sampling in frequency domain. Okay, so extending this concept that we have a periodic signal in frequency domain, let's say like this. Zero, 2 pi, minus 2 pi. Okay, if we are doing sampling here and this continuous or the DTFT is of a time limited signal. This is my, if this is the frequency domain, its time domain replica could be something like, let's say this 0 to n minus 1. When we are doing sampling in frequency domain, that means that this signal should repeat. Okay, so yes, this signal will actually repeat, and so on. Okay, so if this is 0, this will be some n. Okay, this can be, let's say, p minus 1, its length. Let's say for now we will assume that its length p is less than n. We will touch upon this concept later. P can be greater than n also, p can be less than also. So for now we will assume that there are no overlaps in the consecutive repetitions. Okay, now coming to the point that if we are doing sampling in frequency domain, we are getting repetitions in time domain. Okay, so how this concept is useful for DFT? Okay, how this is useful for understanding DFT? Okay, so we said that DFT is discrete in frequency domain, and one of the way to get a discrete signal is sampling. Okay, the same way we did in time domain. Okay, so on a higher level, or one way to understand DFT is that if we have a continuous domain frequency domain signal, or basically a DTFT, okay, and so on, and if we sample this, and if we sample it like this, that in a duration of 2 pi, from minus pi to pi, there are n samples. Okay, in the duration of 2 pi, there are n samples. Okay, so let's say this duration is delta omega. So this delta omega will be 2 pi by n. Okay, so in the duration of 2 pi, there are n samples. Then the time domain signal will repeat with a periodicity of n. Okay. Okay. So when we are talking of DFT, both time domain signal and frequency domain signal both are discrete and periodic with same period. Okay. Fine. So here we said that the time domain signal repeats with the periodicity of n. So if the time domain signal, the initial time domain time limited signal is something like this. Okay, after doing sampling in frequency domain, it will actually repeat. And so on with a period of n. And this n is also known as DFT size. Okay. Yeah. So till now, okay. So one more thing, that for the case when the length, let's say the length is L, I mean the time limited time domain signal has L samples, L non-zero samples, L is less than n. So in that case, if we want to recover our time domain signal, we can actually take one period. Okay, if we want, if let's take another page. When L is less than equals to n, and if we want to recover the signal, we can simply choose one period. Okay, but what if L is greater than n? Okay, so let's try to understand this with an example. So in that case, there will be an overlap in the repetitions of xn or the time domain signal. So for example, let's take this signal 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Its length is 6, so that means L is equals to 6. And for the first case, if n is equals to 8. Okay, so in this case, the repeated signal after doing the sampling in frequency domain, the repeated signal will look something like 0, this is 5, 6 will be 0, 7 will be 0, and from 8 onwards the signal will repeat. Another period of the signal will start, 8 and so on, and similarly on this side. So if I want to recover this, I can simply choose a period for any processing. Okay, so the xn copies will not overlap, and we can easily extract xn from x. Let's say this, if we want to say this repeated signal, if this is xn, and let's say we are saying this repeated copy or repeated signal as x tilde n, so we can easily extract xn from x tilde n by simply choosing one period. Fine. What if n is equals to 4? Okay, if n is equals to 4, if I want to draw it, zero to 5. Okay, so the another period of the repetition will actually be start from here. I'll just drew it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry for there is a slight mismatch in the numbers, but try to understand the concept. that this signal will actually start from here. Okay, so this 4 and 5, the signals here will actually overlap with each other, and the final signal will be something like, there will be these repetitions and so on. You got the point, right? And if I, and this will be the x tilde n, and if I want to recover my xn from x tilde n, this period is not the actual representation of xn. Okay, so this actually means that for n is equals to 8, n equals to 8, x of e j omega has been sampled with sufficiently small spacing in frequency, with sufficiently small spacing in frequency, while for n is equals to 4, for this case x e j omega is undersampled. And we know that when we do undersample, that results in aliasing. Okay, so this can be thought of as a form of aliasing in frequency domain, which is identical to aliasing in, I beg your pardon, aliasing in time domain, which is identical to aliasing in frequency domain. Okay, so to avoid the aliasing, we should remember that what is the length of the actual signal xn. So when we are doing the sampling, or when we are actually choosing, delta omega, because we will choose delta omega, so choosing delta omega will determine the value of n. So while choosing delta omega, we should remember what is the length of the signal, or what is L. Okay, so the concept is, or the point is, that time domain aliasing can be avoided. We have already studied this. If you haven't, please watch the other video on Fourier transform, or another video on, aliasing will also has also been discussed there. So if time domain aliasing can be avoided if xn is of finite length, and frequency domain aliasing can be avoided if x of x e j omega is band limited. Okay, cool. So let's say that periodic version of time domain signal is x tilde n, and periodic version of the sampled and periodic version of the frequency domain signal is x tilde k. Now we are representing the frequency domain signal by k. Okay, so we had something like, initially we had this, and after doing the sampling, the final signal is this. Okay, these are again the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on, and these are represented by k. Okay, so x tilde n and x tilde k are finite length sequences. Are infinite length sequences, because they are periodic, which are periodic version of xn and xk. This is periodic version of xn, this is periodic version of xk. Basically these are xn and xk are one period of the x tilde n and x tilde k respectively. So we can write x tilde n as summation r minus infinity to infinity x n minus Rn. okay, or xn can be written like this over a one period 0 otherwise. Another way to represent this, x tilde n can be x n modulo capital N, or this there is a symbol for that, is this. Okay, so in the same way we can write the frequency domain signal also. Xk is equals to x tilde k when k is 0 to n minus 1, 0 otherwise, or x tilde k is x k modulo n. Okay. Yeah, so now let's jump to the important point, or the point that we started, the DFT equations. DFT and obviously IDFT, the inverse discrete Fourier transform. Okay, so DFT, x tilde k is summation n is equals to 0 to n minus 1 x tilde n e to the power minus j 2 pi n k by n. Okay, so you might have remembered that the formula of DTFT was summation over n x n e to the power minus j omega n. Okay, and when we are doing the sampling, we can write omega as one of the frequency, or 2 pi by n, simply as we are dividing 2 pi into n samples multiplied by running variable k. So if we replace omega by 2 pi k by n in this formula, we will get this. Okay, IDFT is x tilde n is equals to 1 upon n summation n is equals to 0 to n minus 1 x tilde k to the power plus j 2 pi k n by n. Okay, so usually we represent this exponential by this factor. This is okay. This is just for simplicity in writing the equations. Okay, so since the summation in these equations involve only interval between 0 to n minus 1, yeah, since the summation in these equations involve only the interval between 0 to n minus 1, so we can write the expression for xk and xn like xk, we can write summation over n 0 to n minus 1 xn e to the minus j 2 pi k n by n k 0 to n minus 1. Okay, because xk and xn are time frequency limited and time limited sequences respectively, 0 otherwise. Xn can be written like 1 upon n summation over k is equals to 0 to n minus 1 xk to the j 2 pi n k by n, and a small n varying from 0 to n minus 1 and 0 otherwise. Okay, now here is an important point. Okay, so xn when evaluated outside the interval, 0 to n minus 1, okay, what do you think, what will be the value? Okay, when we evaluate out xn outside this interval, what will be the value of this? If you think it is 0, then you are wrong. The result will not be 0, because this is just a periodic extension. We will get a value which is a periodic extension of xn. Periodic extension of xn. But so sometimes it is very confusing to understand this because of these limits. But this we can actually exploit in some cases. If you go in some advanced study, we can actually exploit it. Okay, so for the time being, we are actually interested in values of xn for this interval. Okay, so the point to remember is that we usually don't write our equations in this way. We only write like xk is equals to this, xn is equals to this. We usually don't pay our attentions to these limits. Okay, the reason is we are actually interested in these in this range only. But if we calculate xk and xn outside these limits, the result is not 0. It is just a periodic extension of xk and xn. Okay, cool. So let's take an example. Let's try to calculate DFT of rectangular pulse. Okay, so rectangular pulse is 1 when n is 0 to 4, 0 otherwise. So how will it look? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 1. For all other points, this is 0. Okay, so if you write the equation, xk is equals to summation n is equals to 0 to 4 1 into e to the power minus j 2 pi n k by 5, not 4. Okay, because the length is 5, 0 to 4, the length is 5. And if we calculate this, this is 1 minus e to the power minus j 2 pi k divided by 1 minus e to the power minus j 2 pi k by 5. Okay, and this is 5 for k is equals to 0 plus minus 5 plus minus 10 and 0 for other cases. Okay, so let's draw this xk. So this xk will be this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5. Okay, so if you remember that when we were talking about DTFT, the Fourier transform of a rectangular pulse is a sinc pulse. Okay, so if we want to calculate DFT from DTFT, we have to sample it. Okay, so this is actually the sampled version of a sinc pulse. Okay, so we can actually do like this. We can actually do this. Okay, and if the sinc pulse is x of e j omega, the green signal or the green dotted signal is actually the magnitude of that. So that's why all the lobes are on the positive side. Okay, but the point to understand is that if the green signal is our sinc pulse, after doing the sampling with a particular value of n or with a particular value of obviously omega, which is 2 pi by 5 in this case, we get this particular signal. Okay, so you might have noticed that this we drew x tilde k, not the actual xk, because my xk is band limited or it is limited in frequency domain. So if I want to draw xk, it is nothing but just one point at 0, because this will be 0 to 5. 0. Okay, cool. Now let's discuss the properties. Okay, yeah, so these are the properties. So we know this is periodic, this is linear, okay, conjugate symmetric. I'll not go in calculation of every property, I'll touch upon some of them. Okay, you can actually calculate, and if you have any problem, please put your doubts in the comment section. If we try to for the conjugation, just put x star n in the formula, you will get this. Time reversal, okay, this is delay. So in DTFT we saw that when we are doing time shifting, or basically the delay, there is a phase shift multiplied in the frequency domain. So the same is happening here. Okay, this is frequency shift, the inverse of that, modulation, Parseval's theorem, and yeah, convolution. So here we actually, the difference is in the continuous domain there was linear convolution, but now in this case there is circular convolution. Okay, so before going that, I want to touch upon 2 points. One is circular shift. Okay, so what happens that when we are saying my x shifted by m, this is actually nothing but n minus m modulo n. Okay, modulo n. So remember one point, that in these domain, when we are talking of DFT, whether it's xn or xk, whatever arithmetic operations, basically the plus minus happening in the argument of this in n or k, always do the modulo. Okay, always do the modulo. So for example, let's say capital N is equals to 4 and we are doing x2 plus 3. So we know that my x will range from 0 to 4, but this will actually result 5. So this is wrong. So do 5 modulo 4, which will result in x1. Okay, so why we are doing modulo? To actually keep our argument within the range from 0 to n minus 1. Okay, yeah, so for this case, let's draw one xn. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's put some numbers: 0, 1, 2, 3. This is 1, this is 2, this is 1, this is 3. And if we will repeat it, the other period, I'll draw in other color: 1, 2, 1, 3. This will be 4, 5, 6, 7. Similarly on this side, okay, this is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. Let's say this is my xn, and if I want to draw xn plus 2, okay, or okay, so this is just a right shift by 2 positions. Right shift by 2 positions. Okay, so this 1 will go to 2, 2 will go to 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 4, 5. Similarly, these 2 samples will come here. Okay, so this will be like this. I'll just put some now stars there. Okay, this 1, this is 0. Okay, so let's understand it like this, that this particular sample went here. This particular sample comes here. Okay, let's talk of only one period, 0 to 3. Okay, and also let's talk of one period here also. Okay, so this is right rotation, not actually the shift. Okay, so 0 went to 2, sample at 0 went to sample at 2, sample at 1 went to sample at 3, and sample at 3, this particular sample went here, and this particular one comes here. Understood? So basically this is just rotation within a one period. Okay, so this is circular shift. Basically, why circular shift? Everybody is running in a circle. Okay, so now the another thing is what is or the concept of circular convolution. I'll not go much detail in this lecture, maybe later, but just I'll touch upon the concept. So if we are saying that x3n, so again let's start with infinite duration sequence. So I'll put tilde here. Okay, x1n convolution, x1n tilde convolution, x2n tilde. Okay, so how we can write x3n summation m is equals to 0 to n minus 1 x1 tilde m x2 tilde n minus m, when n 0 to n minus 1. This is x3, remember. Okay, so this can be written, if you want to write in terms of x1 and x2, this is x1 m modulo n and x2 n minus m modulo n. M modulo n is nothing but m only, and this is n minus m modulo n. Okay, so this is circularly time reversed and circularly shifted with respect to first sequence. Okay, so this is how we calculate circular convolution. Okay, so the notation of this is x3n is x1n x2n, or also known as n point circular convolution. Okay, yeah, so with this I'm ending this lecture for DFT. So I hope that you got an understanding of the DFT, why we need it, what is the concept of periodicity in both time and frequency domain, and how we actually calculate it, and what are the properties. Okay, so just go over this and try to solve some problems, and if you got any doubts, please make a comment in the please post your doubt in the comment section. And also I request you to share this with your colleagues and try to do some group study so that you can have some good understanding by mutual sharing of the information. Okay, cool.